Was the Minnesota incident a targeted political attack, or can it be classified as an isolated criminal act from your own narrative, sir?
Well, good evening, Raina. It's always good to see you. The reality is that it's still under investigation. I think it would be unwise for us to start making determinations about what motivated this attack until we see the police investigation and the authorities conduct a thorough digging into what was driving this heinous act. The one thing I will point out, though, is that there is no question, as your lead-in provided, that we are starting to see an uptick in the use of violence as political rhetoric. Is this something new? No. Is this something that the U.S. has dealt with on a large national scale? Sure.
We can go back sorry to interrupt you in this context, but why do you say it's not new?
Well, we can go back to.
Is assassinations normal in the United States?
No. The use of political violence, the increase in tension is nothing new. Again, I go back to 1968. We saw the death of Robert F. Kennedy. Is this something that is good? Never good. Is it something that American democracy has survived? Yes. Are we starting to see it because of the use of social media, new technology? Of course we are. And this is something that, we need to be cognizant of as we go into political, dialogue. We cannot use violence. We cannot use demagoguery as a tool in political discourse. We have to keep political discourse civil. That seems to be a message that's being driven away from instead of getting closer to how we do politics in the United States.
Ms. Tushkerman, what role does misinformation play in shaping public perception of the Minnesota shooting? Is it being exploited for political gains?
Question, yes, absolutely. Misinformation movements actually started the moment this incident happened. Several actors have already sought to manipulate the public perception. Some media outlets and political figures are pushing narratives, minimizing the alleged political dimension, framing the event as isolated criminality to avoid any broader social discussion or reckoning. Others spreading conspiracy theories, blaming shadowy foreign or domestic enemies, further confusing the discourse and fueling paranoia even before the investigation is fully completed. On social media, we're seeing disinformation campaigns, pushing obscure facts and deepening divisions. Some of them are likely linked to foreign actors, and preventing a shared understanding of causes and consequences and actual facts as they're being released. And all of that, of course, undermines democratic transparency, obstructs effective policy responses, and causes greater divisions.
Mr. Russell, does the timing of the No Kings protests coinciding with Trump's military parade signal a dangerous confluence of political symbolism and real-world violence? Of course, sir, and asking about the military parade and Trump's birthday, do you see this, sir? What is Trump trying to prove at this time when there is a conflict or major war that's taking place now in between Iran and Israel, that Israel decided suddenly to get into?
Well, it's not surprising that the organizers of the No Kings protests picked this weekend to have large-scale demonstrations. This is something that is coming as a result of several actions taken by the Trump administration. So the fact that it coincides with Trump's 250th celebration of the U.S. Army in Washington, yeah, there's probably a tie to that. What I do want to point out is, again, this is not the first time we've seen this. If you go back to the inauguration of Donald Trump back in 2017, there was the pink hat demonstrations that happened in the middle of downtown DC right before his inauguration. Was that done as a coincidence? No, it was done specifically to target the inauguration of Donald Trump. So the reality is that we've seen large-scale protests as part of a political discourse here in the United States. I mean, you can go back to the creation of the United States, the Boston Tea Party, where a bunch of revolutionaries threw tea into Boston Harbor as a sign of protest. Back then, that was looked at as incredibly violent, incredibly not civil in its discourse, and was condoned by many. But the reality is that we can go to a civil discourse and the use of protests, and we can even use props or we can use rhetoric. It's the crossing of the line that gets to the condoning of violence, as we saw against the speaker and the senator in Minnesota, as we've seen previously in other incidents here, the attack on judges, etc. This needs to stop because eventually it's going to get to a boiling point that is going to force either an autocratic hand or we're going to start leaning towards an anarchy-based kind of mentality, which neither side of that is good.